Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Today, we're going to start the show off with, first of all, did anybody see Donald Trump's what is it? Walk around the stage or whatever you want to call it with him after winning, or not after winning, after being acquitted by the Senate. Did you see that? Let me tell you what got me most of all. What got me most of all is the amount of time that the mainstream media is spending on Donald Trump's diatribe. We know that what Donald Trump is saying, we know that he's lying completely, but the media stays with him. The mainstream media stays with him. And of course, because I have to watch this stuff for you as well, I see it. Now, my question to you is, why would they do that? Why do we continue to accept that? What are we going to do about that? Let me tell you, today's program is partly going to talk about the options that we have, right? Because as it turns out, Donald Trump will continue to win these battles, and he'll continue to win these battles because nobody is fighting back. Nobody is saying we are not supposed to do that. And you know who that somebody is? That is all of us who watch mainstream media. All of us who watch mainstream media should be out there as soon as they put Donald Trump on the way that they do. It's okay to report it as news. The news that should have been reported is they give a little clip of Donald Trump doing his speech. After they do that little clip of Donald Trump doing his speech, the next thing they're supposed to do is cut away and then come back with it as some sort of a news item thereafter. But that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is they're giving Donald Trump full coverage. And in the process of doing and giving him full coverage, what they're doing is corrupting the American body politic. And you know, a lot of people say, oh, how can so many Americans think the way they think? It is really not their fault. And one of the reasons that you find that I am very empathetic with my Trumpists, empathetic with my centrists, empathetic with all of those people who are seeing things through the eyes of not only what Donald Trump wants them to see, but what the plutocracy wants them to see. I have to be empathetic. We have to be empathetic because they are being held up by the nose. They are being drugged. They are being told how to think. And what we have to do as those that are very much informed, what we have to do is we have to be the ones. I don't want to sound precocious. I don't want to sound as if we have all the answers because we don't. But we do know that we are being snowed. We do know that we're being snowed. So it is important. So for all of you that are listening right now, all of you who also believe that what we're seeing on TV, where we see the people are being controlled by the media as the media goes ahead and give Donald Trump more coverage than he's warranted, more coverage that he deserves, we have to do our part. And you know what our part is. Our part is to tell the story. Our part is to write, send an email. You don't even have to send an email to the Hi Rose Williams, welcome aboard. Send an email to the ombudsman. Let them know that we are not appreciative of the coverage that they're given to Donald Trump, and that if they keep that up, we will be moving. You remember, they care more about eyeballs so that they can sell the advertising to the plutocracy more than anything else. That is their sole purpose in life. So let's remember that. Okay, folks, I want you to stick with me. We're going to have a great show for you today. Let me cue a few more things here, and then we'll be ready to get started. But I do want to cue the program in some other direction. So bear with me just a little bit as I continue to get these things done. But folks, we have a lot of work to do. But you know what? I have faith in all our listeners. All our listeners perform. I have the most intelligent, passionate listeners out there. The emails that you send me, the information that you send me. In fact, today's show is going to be based on something on an email that I got from a dear friend, an email that I got from someone who subscribes to the show. And when she sent me that, I'll be honest with you, I was at KPFT at 5 this morning. Early this morning, I got up to go to KPFT. I was on pitching for KPFT with Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! Both of us were trying to bring funds in for KPFT, which is one of the largest Pacifica Network stations here in Houston, where we do Politics Done Right as well. And we have a 100,000 watt transmitter, so we are in fund drive mode right now. And we have Amy Goodman that was on with me this morning, pitching to kind of bring funds into that. Anybody remember Democracy Now? Go to Democracy Now and check them out. That's another progressive network that's so important to us all. Anyhow, let's get busy. Let me see if I think I have most of it done. Okay, let's get busy. So what is the program going to be about today? Title of the show today is the following: Trump invests in carpet bombing as Democrats continue the insanity. And whenever I use the word Democrats in this manner, what I'm really meaning is the Democratic establishment, the old Democratic establishment. Look, folks, to win, all of us are going to have to work together to win. And by the way, those of you that are listening to the show right now, I beg you so kindly, I ask you so kindly to please go ahead and share it now. We have to get geometric progression in people seeing what we're talking about. And the reason why is a lot of what we're talking about isn't going to be on the mainstream media. A lot of the narrative that we are going to provide, you're not going to get elsewhere. So I ask you so kindly, please go ahead and make sure to share these programs as soon as you get on. Even if you're only going to be with us 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour, the whole hour, please share it immediately so that we can go ahead and ensure that people all over are going to get it. It is imperative. We depend on geometric progression to get the message out. So what I'm going to do now is I have one more that I want to get out there. I think I got to share to one other person or one other place, I should say. And we will be ready to go fly in as we speak. Okay. Anyhow, so what is it? The program today. One of the things that I've been trying to tell a lot of people lately is we have a different battle to fight. We have a different battle that's coming up now, and it's important that we understand what it is. It's important that we do it. So the title of the show is Trump invests in carpet bombing as Democrats continue the insanity. And what insanity I'm talking about? When I say Democrats, I'm not talking about progressive Democrats. I'm not talking about the rank and file Democrats that are out there working hard, knocking on doors, trying to convince people that we really have the answers to the things that they want. I'm talking about the establishment that continues to do the things the old way, that continues to believe that they are our masters, that they know best, and they don't particularly listen to what people want. They don't particularly, many of them, share the true values of what we stand for as progressives, what we stand for as Democrats. Okay? So here's the deal. Donald Trump and his minions are already in full election mode, using independent media, non-traditional media, and others to shape American opinions with misinformation. Democrats continue the insanity of the past. In other words, they continue to work. We get the election going, and after we get the election going, we try to come to some conclusion on some centrist position so that we can win over those mythical centrist working class voters that simply have no interest in voting for us. And why don't they have any interest in voting for us? Because if they're looking for a Republican, they're not going to go for Republican light. They're going to go for the real thing. But if we are offering them policies that are going to make their lives better, and we are convincing in doing such a thing, guess where they're going to be? Doesn't matter what they tell people on the outside. When they're going to the polls, they're going to come to us. So, Democrats may be ceding too much too early, and it does not change. If it doesn't change, it will cost us. I sent out my newsletter today, to be clear. It was a solicitation asking for independent media support. Politics Done Right needs many more subscriptions. We need many more subscriptions. We need many more subscribers. It said, and the email that I sent out this morning said the following: beating Trump in 2020 will require a special kind of battle. In 2016, I was summarily slaughtered on my blogs at Daily Kos and at other progressive publications for pointing out that Donald Trump was saying the right things in the right places and he was likely to win. When I said that, I was called a fool. I was called a person who, somebody once wrote, "You're supposed to be an engineer. You said you only believe in numbers. You believe in science. All the polls have Hillary Clinton ahead. Why would you say something so asinine?" And then I would say, "Sir, all the polls have something called a plus or minus a tolerance. They all have a plus or minus 4, plus or minus 5. All of the polls that we took back then, Hillary was within the margin of error. They have a margin of errors. If we have a plus or minus 4 points, that means a margin of error of 8 points. If we have plus or minus 2.5 points, that's 5 points. You know, everybody attacked the pollsters because all of them had a bias towards Hillary winning, but they all fell within the margin of error that she could lose. A lot of people haven't realized that. They're still attacking all these people for why Hillary lost. Hillary won, just like the vote said she was going to win in the popular vote. She lost votes in the wrong places, but the possibility was there within the margin of error. So, I saw that, but more than that, what I saw, and I wrote an article specifically stating that, how Trump had begun his triangulation. Trump did not go ahead and campaign as a conservative fiscally. Let me explain. Trump did the things that he did in the State of the Union speech on Sunday, or whenever he gave the State of the Union speech. And I want folks to understand this. I've been cautioning people about the State of the Union speech. Everybody was talking about how bad it was. All of us progressives out there, how he lied and all of that. None of that really matters. Everybody knows that this guy is a liar. Folks, if you're just tuning in, please share it now. Please share this program now. People must hear this program. Everybody thought, when I watched the State of the Union address, he was lying. Nobody's going to believe that. But folks, he's doing exactly what he did, just more polished, just better, and with numbers, plausible numbers behind him. Okay? That's what he's doing. So when I said that in the articles, they slaughtered me. Oh, I was stupid. I was terrible. I couldn't read the tea leaves. Why does Daily Kos have you on the front page? You don't know what you're talking about. And we got all that kind of attack. Well, of course, Donald Trump won. People say, oh, well, it's because of the Russians. Look, the Russians were involved in helping Donald Trump win. That is a fact. Did they put out things there that drew people to vote for Donald Trump? Yes. But you know what's the funniest part about this entire issue? Donald Trump did not need the Russians to win. Everything that the Russians did for Donald Trump, he could have paid an advertising agency in the United States to do for him. It's important for us. I want us to be clear-eyed, cleared vision. Let's not allow other people to fool us, to snow us. Let's not allow the party to lie to us. Let's not fool ourselves. You fool yourself, you wake up sick the next day. You wake up and say, oh my God, how did this happen? No, let's have our eyes wide open so that these things don't happen. And we are going to talk about what we have to do to ensure that we win. But right now, what the Democratic Party is doing proper is doing absolutely nothing for us to win. They are pulling defeat out of what is supposed to be a landslide win for the Democratic Party, a landslide win for progressives. But what we are doing is we're trying to put some controls in there that will cause a loss. And it won't be a big loss. It would be tiny places. And if you want to know what the tiny places are, understand what Donald Trump did in the State of the Union address. And he did it perfectly. Folks, if you're just joining us, please go ahead and share these programs. We are going to need to make sure people see this. Now, here's the deal. Continuing with the pros. It was clear from the State of the Union address that Donald Trump is again at it. Once again, the leaders of the Democratic Party and the mainstream media are in a continual state of flat-footedness in how to address the Trump supporters and our own to neutralize the farce. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The grassroots the grassroots are taking the bull by the horns, working in parallel but independently from the party many times to reach a larger audience that will include supporters we least expect. I'm going to have people on my KPFT show next week. These are grassroots people, independent-minded people, progressives that are going to be out there saying, what are they doing? How are they talking to all these other constituencies to bring them in? Something that the Democratic Party is not doing. The Democratic Party is just saying, let's activate our base and we'll activate our base. Well, you know what Donald Trump did in that State of the Union? Donald Trump says, yeah, you activate your base and I up you one because you know what? I've got it. And he's doing, again, I must repeat, he's doing a good job at it. I'm going to explain a little bit more what he did in the State of the Union, but I need to get through this part of our pros. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The grassroots are taking the bull by the horns, okay? So they're doing the right thing. Michael Steele, former chairman of the Republican Party and Trump critic, admonished Democrats recently on MSNBC. He pointed out after the State of the Union that Democrats don't understand how to fight Trump. He then hit the nail on the head, stating something many of us in independent media and in the grassroots know. You see the work that Indivisible Houston is doing in Harris County, what Swing Left is doing in Harris County, what Pants Republic is doing in Harris County. We turned this county blue. And the way it was turned blue was not only going to the base, but creating and expanding the base. And if you see how these people are working Harris County, you understand what we have to do on a national level. Just what's occurring here in Harris County, Texas, is what needs to occur on a national level. But a lot of this is done independent of the party. And the reason why is the party, in wanting to have full control, shrinks its possibilities. Because remember, the guardrails that I talk about very frequently. So, folks, I want you to continue to listen to this. If you're just joining us, please, 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 I implore you to go ahead and share the program. We're going to get into the State of the Union and what I want to tell you about the State of the Union and what we have to fight within the State of the Union. Very, very immediately so. Okay, so Michael Steele said the following. This is important. He says we don't know. Michael Steele said Democrats don't know how to fight this guy. And he's right. He's right. Every time Donald Trump does something, we react. We react to what Donald Trump is doing. Every single time. That's not the way to do it. Here's what he said. The warfare against Donald Trump must be asymmetric. It must be asymmetric. It must neither be defensive nor counter-punching. That's what Trump wants. Trump is leading if you are counter-punching him. Trump is leading if you're just responding to every single one of his attacks. Your fight with Trump, our fight with Trump, must be asymmetric. The warfare against Trump must be asymmetric. That is how we win. Okay, what is an asymmetric war? First of all, we tend to address Donald Trump directly. All of the times that we're wanting to do things, we address Donald Trump. But that is not how you fight, because what Donald Trump is doing, what's the title of the show today? Trump invests in carpet bombing as Democrats continue the insanity. What is the carpet bombing? Let me tell you. Just like you have Politics Done Right now. I'm an independent media outlet that does, put these things out. Welcome aboard, Live Lit. Salute. Thank you so kindly, my dear. Lived it. Now, here's the deal. There are thousands of small independent media folks like Politics Done Right, and you have there are many others. I can't, now that I'm talking, I can't think of all the others. What Donald Trump has done is the following. He has, and when I say Donald Trump, I mean the institution of the plutocracy that drives Donald Trump. They have all these writers and these bloggers that pump information out. That's all they're doing on social media, on blogs, and all these things. And these things get picked up and shared, right? Just like I'm asking you right now, when you see programs like mine, it's imperative that you share it. It's imperative that other people understand the way the news system works. When I talk about insanity and us doing things the old way and constantly, this is what I'm talking about. We have to get our voice out there as well. And we are not getting our voice out there as well. Now, a friend of mine, well, before I get into what my friend says, notice what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump went on to the State of the Union, and he was very concentrated on pointing out black people. Donald Trump doesn't stand a chance hell in winning the black women vote. Doesn't stand a chance. Okay, but he stand a chance in getting some. But he doesn't need them all. He just needs some. He doesn't stand a chance of getting the black male vote, the majority, but he just needs some. Guess what I've started hearing black men that are not very informed talking about? Remember I said, if you repeat things over and over again and you put it in social media, you have it as memes, you have it in blogs, you have it in all these other places, right? What happens then is the fallacies become a reality. Folks, if you're just joining us, it's imperative that you share this show. Please, I ask you so kindly, please share the show. So what happens? Donald Trump went and he showed, first of all, everybody's giving Betsy DeVos trouble because she wants vouchers. People in Texas don't want vouchers. But you know what? Schools in black and brown neighborhoods and poor white neighborhoods are terrible. You know why? Because we have a plutocracy that treats the lower classes like trash. They don't allow them to grow, right? So now what's the option? It's not enough that they pilfered these poor people. So what they do is they tell these poor people, hey, you know what, man? There's this stuff called vouchers. And what we're going to do for you is some company is going to come into your neighborhood and they're going to create a school outside of that corrupt, terrible, horrendous public system. And taxpayer dollars are going to be used to give you vouchers to go to a better school. Now, it's been proven that these are just money-making enterprises, right? They pay teachers less. Now, they don't only pay teachers less, but the class of education is generally less. But it's the same trickle-down theory. Oh, the public sector can't do it fine. Instead of fixing and making sure you get good teachers to teach the children in the ghetto and elsewhere, what they do is they tell you, we'll give you a voucher. We'll give you a voucher. And then you bring a black woman to the State of the Union who is tired of a public system that is not giving her kid the education and say, hey, I'm going to get you into a school. Hooray. People see on national TV Donald Trump helping a black, beautiful little girl getting into a school, and voila. Folks, if you're just joining us, please share. It is imperative that you share. You get it. So he shows a certain compassion for black people. If you're just joining us, folks, it's important that you share these programs, please, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitch, everywhere that we're doing it right now. So then he goes ahead and he pulls out the guy from the grandson of a Tuskegee airman, the guy who was one of the first black pilots that went to World War II and did their job, did a great job, and he honored that guy, the black guy from the Tuskegee Airmen, and his son wants to be an astronaut. And it was beautiful. You know what? It looked good. Those of us in the know it is crap. But if you are not in the know, my brothers and my sisters, if you are just a black man coming home late from work and you sit down to listen to Trump and you've heard all these bad things constantly about Trump, And then suddenly you see a pleasant Trump doing, I mean, not only those two black people, other black people, this black business, this black guy that was on crack or some kind of drug, somehow he used an empowerment zone and he's now a business owner and he was successful at doing it. You see, Trump knows how to plant all these people. You plant, you make, you bring things up to a few people and you make them representative of something that isn't real, that becomes real for the picture show that Donald Trump puts on TV. That's what he does. So he does that. And everybody buys into it. Folks, if you're just joining us, please share the program. It is imperative that you share. So people buy it. And then it goes through the blogosphere. There are stories written about all of this. And everybody starts to say, oh, so Trump isn't as bad with black people as we thought. Trump isn't as bad with Latinos as we thought. Trump is not, all these things matter. Those of us in the know, we know it is crap, but for the average American citizen who isn't out there watching TV, who isn't out there following the politics, understanding the politics, they won't know that. Why would they? They're working very hard. They're hard workers. Americans work very hard. So that State of the Union speech wasn't a State of the Union. It was a campaign speech made to have maximal input. Now, remember, a lot of the things that he wants to say now is progressives. Even though he's trying to cut health care, he's telling you he's giving you health care, a progressive strong point. So now you're going to believe him. He's helping the black kids. He must go help the health care people too. And he said he's going to. We know that he's trying to kill it in the Supreme Court. But most people don't know that. Folks, if you're just joining us, it's imperative. Please go ahead and share this program. People don't know that. And what we have to understand, most of you that are listening to me right now, you're listening to politics right now because you know you love it. You know that it's existential. But you need this in your feed as well so that somebody who says, you know what? If my friend is watching this dude on TV talk about this, maybe I need to listen to this too. And that's how we bring more people into the fold, right? Of course, we are out in the field as well. So that is what Trump is doing. But there's something more insidious, and I'm going to bring that up later. But remember also what he touched on, making sure you can pray in school. So he helped everybody. And you know what? Black people and Latinos, we really don't care if you pray in school, right? And personally speaking, I don't mind. I'm a humanist. I don't mind if somebody goes to a classroom and have a prayer. I think many people are too sensitive that, oh, well, if you allow that person to do a Christian prayer for those that are not Christians, no, BS. Look, I think you can do whatever you want. And if you want to pray, pray. If you don't want to pray, don't pray. So, but sometimes we as progressives, we get too technical in sort of these interpretations. In my humble opinion, that is. That's just my opinion. But, so when he comes out, we can pray in school. And then, of course, their big coup de grace. We are going to outlaw abortion, not noting that what you're saying is we are going to make a woman a slave to a man. We make a woman, her body is a slave, subservient to the man. But again, he's hitting all these points. Remember, what he's doing is tactical. He's not worried about winning every vote. He's worried about keeping his base and skimming off of a lot of different pieces of vote. And when somebody gets mad at Bernie, let's say Bernie becomes and by the way, Bernie won Iowa if you want to be technical about it. But let's say you want to hate on Bernie. Let's say all these Democrats that hate on Bernie. Then what happens then is they have an outlet and they get a rationale, they get a good feeling, a reason why it is just okay then to vote for Donald Trump. And that is what he's doing. He's building, and folks, if you're just joining us, please, I implore thee, please share. So again, folks, he's building a narrative for those who are willing, because let's say it's Elizabeth that wins, and a whole lot of Bernie don't want Elizabeth. It gives them a plausible alternative that says, I guess Trump isn't all that bad. He said he's going to do that. What we have to do now is what they are doing, because it's not only Trump that's doing that. Folks, please share the program if you're just joining us. Please share the program if you're just joining us. It's imperative that others hear this. So I tell you what happened now with the user. Well, before I get into that, it is okay then for them to vote for Trump. That is their core belief then. Oh, if he's going to do that, I don't like the Democratic candidate. So I'm going to make a blanket statement right now. If whoever becomes the Democratic candidate that is done fairly, I will be supporting that candidate. And I think everybody should. I mean, if it's Bernie who is a candidate, you should support them. If it's Elizabeth who's a candidate, you should support them. If it's Biden who's a candidate, you should support him. You don't have to like the person. You just have to know that when they get into office, that is when the job starts. Because don't think that anybody who gets into office, the progressive base has got to be there to push things forward. Don't think it's going to happen overnight just because your candidate wins. So the thing about it is we need to get Trump out of there. Now, if the Democratic Party pulls shenanigans, all hell is going to break loose. I don't have to tell anybody what to do. All hell, if the Democratic Party does not let things play out, if they continue to create shenanigans and not let the Democrats choose who their candidate is going to be, like I said, I will abide by what Democrats choose. All of us should abide by what Democrats choose. And I mean, the race is nasty. Each of these candidates are going to do some nasty things because that's campaigning. But if the party proper does anything to get involved in machination, then all hell breaks loose, and I don't have any advice for you then. Because at that point, I'm going to say, do what you think your conscience tells you need to do. All right. So that is the main point. Folks, for those of you that are just joining us, please go ahead and share this. It is imperative that others hear it. Okay. What does the Republicans do very well? Notice how I started the program talking about carpet bombing. Donald Trump and his minions has already started the carpet bombing. I get a lot of his carpet bombing, okay? Because as a media outlet, all the different people, all the different organizations that are working for Trump send me a lot of articles that they want posted on my several blog sites, my several websites. And these articles are very, very good. They are very good and they are very convincing. For people who are not savvy politically, they work. And that is one of the reasons we need to have our blogosphere, our blog people funded as well. I'm going to cut in for 1 second to ask you, to tell you how you can first support our program. And then I'm going to bring up an article that show you exactly how good these people are and how their carpet bombing works, how they intend to start. You know, they're not going to use a lot of TV. They're going to use TV ads, but it's not TV ads that's going to do it. It is the understanding that all of us get information from all over the place, which means we have to have all over the place funded because they do. But anyhow, let me go and first here and tell you guys, please go ahead and consider supporting Politics Done Right. Go ahead and get one of our t-shirts at store.politicsdoneright.com. Consider, I ask you so kindly, support us. Again, we work on a very, very, very small budget. So please support us by getting a t-shirt or one of the other products we have at our store, store.politicsdoneright.com. And I'll put that in the feed right now that you can actually see that. So there it is. You can go to that store and we have cups. We have my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. I promise you, if you read this book, I promise you will understand Economics 101 just from reading this book and understanding exactly why we are in trouble, exactly why we need Medicare for all, exactly how we can transform this system. I promise you that after reading this book As I See It, Class Warfare. You can also get the book at store.politicsdoneright.com, or you can get it at Amazon or anywhere else. Of course, we like to play with Trump every so often, so we have that other T-shirt that says an unprecedented president deserves an unprecedented exit. Well, the exit isn't coming from impeachment, but the exit can come legally. As soon as we beat him in November, when he leaves office in January, he's heading to jail. The paperwork's already ready. So an unprecedented president deserves an unprecedented exit. Check that one out as well. And we have a lot of other T-shirts out there as well. There are other ways to help fund Politics Done Right. The one that we prefer the best is to have those subscribers. We would love you to subscribe to Politics Done Right. It is imperative that we get 1,000 subscribers. I think we're somewhere at 100 right now. It is imperative that we get 1,000 subscribers. And how can you subscribe? Go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Again, that is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. You can also support our equipment upgrade fund. Our equipment upgrade fund is at gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. Again, that is gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. And you can always contribute to the show by going to our, did I click OK on that? I didn't click OK on that. You can always contribute to our show by going to paypal.me/politics done right. Again, that is paypal/me, paypal.me/politicsdoneright.com. So folks, please go ahead and support us. We are doing important work. I promise you that all this funding go directly into what we're doing. It is so important for us to get it done. Okay, let's go ahead and continue with the program. What I want to show you now is an example of what these folks do. There is an article, a friend of mine, a subscriber to Politics Done Right. She sent me an article and said, Egberto, what do you think about this? This is interesting. And what she sent was this article titled, How Can You Follow? And remember what I said. For those who are just coming, please remember to share. For those who are just coming, and by the way, folks, I can only see most of the times the people who leave messages on our page. So please go to if you're listening to us on Facebook, you can also see it on facebook.com/Politics Done Right. That is facebook.com/Politics Done Right. Or you can also go to YouTube and just look up Egberto Willies. YouTube.com/Egberto Willies is how you watch us on YouTube. Here's where we go now. Remember I said, what Trump is doing is carpet bombing. Carpet bombing, the way it does is the following. When you talk about carpet bombing, and that's the title of the article, investing in carpet bombing, what they do is when you're in warfare, nasty, I hate warfare, but when you're in warfare, you want to soften up the landing for the people that are going to be coming. You want to make sure the landing is softened up. So you just start, if you're Navy ships, the Navy ships would be offshore, and they'll just bombard the area where the people are going to be coming into shore. If you're inland, they bring planes in and they just annihilate everything, right? And when they do that, they soften it up. In other words, they knock out a lot of things to make it easier so that when their people start to move in with their equipment, with their bombs and their things and whatever, they have an easier task at it. What Donald Trump and his team is doing right now is carpet bombing media all over. What they do is they start creating their narrative. I've been getting emails with articles that talk about Jerusalem. I've been getting articles that talk about why we need to have, why it is so important that there is private insurance and all these things that have nothing to do with Trump. But they're out there informing and telling you that. And normally this is always, these sites are always usually very insular, but not anymore. There are agencies now sending these articles that seem to be just teaching articles and asking bloggers all over the country, websites all over the country, please put this on your website. Folks, if you're just joining us, please remember to share these programs. But anyhow, so what they're doing is they're putting it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all these different sites are putting these things out there. And I kept on watching as it grows, and I don't see anything on our side. Now, I write articles every day. So I put my articles every day at Coffee Party USA, at Daily Kos, at Op-Ed News, at Democratic Underground. And I try to put all these messages out there every day. Every day I get articles, I write articles, and I try to put that into the internet sphere. And the reason you have to do that is so that when people start searching, they don't only see the articles that the right wing wants to be seen. If you put certain keywords in there, they dominate. We have to do the same thing. That's what I consider the job of politics done right, our network. And that's when I ask you, please share. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. We have to fill the sphere with that information so that people can see the alternative. If they go ahead and they look up Medicare for All, that not only the things that was written by the right wing, Google shows them, but the things that was written by Politics Done Right, the thing that was written by NHS, the things that was written by all these other people have to show up in the search engine. So we have to do the same thing. But you know what? It's hard. It's hard. I work 16 hours a day preparing this program, as well as writing these articles, as well as processing videos. It's hard. But we need a lot of us doing it. And after we do it, we need a lot of us sharing it. So anyhow, here comes this article. A friend of mine sent it. The title of the article is, let me get to the article. Where is it? Here's the article. The title of the article is, How Can You Follow Jesus and Support Donald Trump? Why did this article come to fruition? It's clear to me, right? People know how corrupt Donald Trump is. And not only do they know how corrupt Donald Trump is, but they know that he is anathema to anything having to do with Jesus Christ. He's anathema to anything that used to mean anything to evangelicals. So the evangelical ministers have made their pact with the devil, and they have to somehow be able to tell their pew, their followers, why it is okay for them to do that which is evil. So they have to make evil righteous. So when my friend sent this, I could, in the few words that she sent, I understood what she meant. So what I want to say, here's how the article starts. Like many, I am perplexed by the divide in the Christian community over President Trump, but I'm not surprised. The media is fueling lies and the world is listening. This was demonstrated in a worship song by Daniel Dietrich, and that was a wonderful song that he put together. Talk about the wrong place to express political views. Dietrich's song was written in response to the 81%, listen to this. It was written in response to the 81% of white evangelical Protestant voters who supported Donald Trump in 2016. Here are the lyrics. They started putting kids in cages, ripping mothers from their babies, and I look to you to speak on their behalf. Okay? This, of course, is in response to what is perceived as happening at the border. No, this is not what, but notice how he writes, huh? This article is perfectly written. I love this article. If it were true, but here's what he says then. This, of course, is in response to what is perceived as happening at the border. I assume that Mr. Deitch is sincere and his heart truly wants to help people, but we must get our facts from reputable sources or first-hand experience. You know what? We have a lot of people from Harris County who went there, first-hand experience. I can tell you names of people in Pantsuit Republic who went down there to provide support. I can tell you about people in Indivisible who saw this firsthand. God willing, I'm touring the border with our California pastors very soon and hope to gain that perspective personally. Of course, when you get a bunch of right-wing ministers going down to the border, they will have a scene prepared for them for picture taking. When we go and drop in on these people unannounced, we get a different story. Okay, the article continues. I mean, it's funny. This, some say, how can you follow Jesus and Donald Trump? We are not following a man. We're shaping a movement. See how you see the distraction? We're not following a man. We're shaping a movement. A better question to be asked, now they turn it around, is what direction is the country heading? If a leader lacks Christian character but is pointing the nation back to God, is that a bad thing? Wait a minute. What? If they are and making America secure, is that a bad thing? if they're honoring hard work and minimizing free handouts, is that a bad thing? God doesn't judge a nation based on the character of one man. He judges it based on the spiritual health of her people. Never forget it. Yeah, you're right. And you're supporting locking people up in cages and a president who called women by pulling on their crutches. You name it. That's what you're supporting, people who claim to love Jesus Christ. Now it continues. I regularly say that we Christians love refugees and immigrants and are eager to help with food, lodging, and jobs. But at the national level, the president is to put the safety and provision of the American people first. When an airplane loses cabin pressure, parents put on the oxygen mask first to better assist their child. This isn't selfishness, it's wisdom. And I agree with you. That's why I said this piece is so very well written, because what he says is true. But he's making the assumption that we cannot afford these refugees. But worse, he doesn't understand history. He doesn't understand politics. The reason those people in Central America and around the world, but specifically in Central America, is flocking to America is because of U.S. policies in those countries that are creating the situation that makes them come over here. It is, and this is what happens when you have misinformation. It is this, what he's saying is plausible. Okay, we can't afford these people, so we can't bring them in. If it were true, that would be cool, but we can afford them. And secondly, we are acting as if they're coming here just for the sake of coming. They're coming here because we've created an environment south of the border that lends itself to create a hell of a lot of poor people. And you want to know what's happening? The same thing that is happening in Appalachia, in the ghettos and the barrios. We have created a system that impoverishes people. And it's not only impoverishing people around the world, it's impoverishing people in our own country, because our form of economics does just that. It takes away, it is extractive and move money towards a few. Okay. The majority of news outlets spin everything, yes, everything, to put President Trump in bad light. No, President Trump does a good job of doing that on his own. Their agenda is simply and clear: remove him from office at any cost, and I hope you realize this. They are really coming after you, me, and Christian values. Huh? You know, what many, oh, thank you so kindly for the up chat, Live It. Thank you very much for the top chat. He says, Egberto is spot on. Yes, there's another view, and use carpet bombing from the military standpoint. Being effective is they kill. Thank you so kindly for that money in the top chat. Appreciate it, my friend. Okay, continuing. The push towards open borders is more about votes than truly helping people. That's a lie. We don't support open borders. Let me not tell lies. I personally love the idea of open borders, controlled open borders, but that is just my personal position that I am not attempting to promote. And the reason I say this is because I understand the reason for not having it. But my theories are more intense and requires more analyses, and it's something that I absolutely wouldn't promote. But in order to be very honest, I must say these things. Okay, their agenda is simple and clear. Or rather, continuing. That would severely parental neglect, because many harmful things could also enter those open windows. Open borders would parallel that type of irresponsibility. Additionally, our financial system cannot support people flooding in who need assistance. How is that using wisdom? It is not a matter of this type of, again, the people that come to this country, the people who had the wherewithal to walk 1,000 miles to come into America. And this is important for a lot of people to understand. To come into America, if you walked 1,000 miles, you are above the average person, because it means that you have guts. You want to be better. And that's what they do. And when these people come, they work hard. And you know what? We need them. In fact, there was a conservative I sat down in Starbucks for a very long time who hated immigration. And by the time we were done talking about Social Security and the need for more people to support the baby boom generation and what's going on, He was in all and ready for full immigration. But then he remembered he was a conservative and he said, Egberto, we need to find a conservative way to do it. And I said, okay, I don't mind. We're in the same wave. We're at least meeting halfway. Now you write me a blog. No. He said, let me write you a blog to post on your website about what I think a conservative immigration plan would look like. And he wrote one, to which I said, good, I'll post the blog. I don't completely agree with you, but we're getting somewhere. That is how things work. So the fact that I can talk to a lot of conservatives and then finally they start to say, oh, yeah, we like those things. We can too, but we have to have the message out. Just like I am reading this piece of junk that is out there, we can put real information out there, but we have to be funded, brothers and sisters. We have to be. Like I said to everybody here, I do my part, right? I make sure that this information gets out there because I feel a responsibility. Given my engineering abilities and my programming abilities, I can do this stuff on the cheap, and that's why I've created this network. But we have to do it, and we have to have thousands doing this because you know what? Donald Trump is funding thousands of people to do this. Continuing with the notion here. I can't read the whole thing. I want to answer some questions, and we're getting close to the end. And let's see. There's a part that I really wanted to read here. But anyhow, you see it on the screen right now. You can actually read it on the screen. Okay, I get it. An analogy that I often use will bring this point home. In other words, why we should still follow Donald Trump. Why Christians should still follow Donald Trump. The head of a neighborhood watch, I'm going to read it real fast. The head of a neighborhood program watch who took the late night watches had previously had an affair. He was occasionally gruff and impulsive, and sometimes his words were crass and offensive. But he watched over the neighborhood diligently each night. Each week, he invited church leaders into his home to pray for him and his family and seek their advice. He often stood against others on the committee who wanted to enact policies harmful to the neighborhood and to the children, such as advocating an open door policy where residents were required to allow anyone in their homes at all hours of the day for handouts. Is this not the kind of person you would want leading your neighborhood watch? Does his past or his demeanor matter more than the results he's accomplishing? If you are intellectually honest, the answer is not difficult. Really? So what they've started to do is create a narrative, because Christians have been getting attacked for losing their values for supporting Donald Trump. So now they're writing articles to give plausibility for still being a Christian and supporting Donald Trump. And if you look at that example that he put in there, let me tell you, it's a good example. Unfortunately, it is wrong, but it's a good example. Anyhow, let me go to the screen here and start talking to my beautiful, beautiful followers. And lived it. Thank you so kindly for the top chat. Thank you so kindly for what we call the top chat. He clicked the $sign on YouTube and gave us a little top chat. Anybody else can do that? Please feel free to do so. Okay, we have Livid says, even more malicious, Trump is splitting minority votes by empowering, yes, types he appealing to hate all around. Yes, he is. Rose Williams says, the more you say the lie, the more likely people are able to believe it. You're so right, Rose. Rose also says, this must be how it was for normal thinking people as Hitler came to power. You hit the nail on the head, Rose. And that is why we need to have a network of information flooding not only the internet, but the radio waves. If you notice, I have the ability to hit both the radio waves, the internet, social media, and elsewhere. But we need to be funded. But thank you. You're absolutely right with that, Rose. If we aren't careful, that Hitler's big strategy will work again. Okay, let's see. Daniel Ledo says, Egberto is the king of the hypocrites. Okay, if you want to say that. Daniel also say, I can hear the panic in his voice over the reality that the black voters are moving to Trump. Actually, it's not a panic. It is a concern, though, because if we don't start doing our work and putting out information, Daniel, that could happen. Especially with clowns like Kanye West and Kanye West and what's his name, Shaq and all these guys. trying to give Trump some kudos. I'm not exactly sure why. Marhad Delany, the problem is DNC won't play fair. You know what? Let me tell you something, Marhad. We can supersede, go beyond that. John C. Garcia, pon tu ladrillo, mi hermano de Venezuela. We went 18 years voting for the least evil candidates on opposition and couldn't remove the more evil Chavez. Voting against is not enough. What is successful country narrative? And you know what? While I don't completely agree with your statement, you are absolutely right, Senor Pontu Ladrillo. You are right that we have to find some good form of working together. Pontu Ladrillo also said, as John C. Garcia, a friend of mine as well, because the left in the U.S. has promoted themselves as non-religious or anti-religious. That is the narrative. It's not the truth at all. Daniel Ledo, Trump is not only wooing the black vote, but his support of Israel is gaining Jewish support. A socialist candidate is not going to win any of those back. We'll see. But anyhow, but you're right about that, Daniel Ledo. You're absolutely right about that. And Live It, Super Chat, $5. Egberto is spot on. Yes, there's another view and use on carpet bombing for militia standard point. Thank you so kindly. Rose Williams says, there is an interest series on Netflix called The Family. The organization, its documents has been around since 1940s, and their purpose appears to be influencing the most powerful people in the country, around the world. What is especially telling, they cherry pick scripture and scriptural examples. It is exactly the script we are hearing nowadays from most evangelical community. Now I know why so many are parroting the same talking points. You get it right, Rose. You got it right. You are so full of righteous BS. It's almost unbelievable. Well, I take that with a badge of honor coming from you, my dear friend Daniel Ledo, my brother. Rose Williams, it is shocking to me how the religious community right has become wrong, wrong has become right. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal. Pontu Ladrillo, the left should make sure to promote Christian values, not the religion, but the values. When you see Ladrillo, por favor, estás perfectamente correcto con eso. You're absolutely right, Pontu Ladrillo. I agree with you 100%. Memorai, why does Daniel hate so much? The state of Israel is an apartheid state. You know, a lot of people don't realize that, but I'm glad that you said it. Memorai also said, I always lived in Arizona. The South American immigrants were taken advantage of, just like Trump supporters. Look. Folks, we are at the end of the program. I so love you all. I so thank Anand Bat. Let me read that real quick. I noticed that Trump highlighted African Americans in Ohio. People forget that 12% of African Americans in Ohio voted for Trump. Yes, they did. There is really opportunity for him to increase this percentage to 15 to 20%. I agree with you 100%. Guys, thank you, thank you. Thank you so kindly for being a part of Politics Done Right. Today we got to get out of here. Please do remember, my brothers and my sisters, to go ahead and visit store.politicsdoneright.com and start getting our t-shirts, start getting my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. I promise you would learn some theory, and very easily learned everything you need to know about it. And by the way, I lost a lot of weight a few years ago to save my life. Here it is. Lose weight and be fit now. That book I wrote to tell folks how I did it. Anyway, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.